Shalom, Kalalal, Yalbashim Yoshai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS, that rule on that do teach one that have taught me this truth to you. I say Shalom. Shalom to the hopeful elect, Kwam Yashala, and above all. Alright, so this is going to be a Nuke watch / Nuke alert, and what's going on over there in with the whole situation between Russia and Ukraine, which I believe, man, that could start World War III. It has potential because you're seeing a lot of nuke talks, and that's what you've been seeing as of late. And this is all prophesied, right? It's all prophecy. This is prophesied. Remember, the scriptures says the scriptures were written aforetime for our learning, right? And we're learning that nuclear destruction is right around the corner because it was written thousands of years ago that this was going to happen, right? Pursuing to many scriptures, many chapters, Ezekiel 38 and 39, Revelation 7, Revelation 9, Malachi 4 and 1, Joel 3, Isaiah 54. I have those all pulled up here. But yeah, nuclear destruction is written in the Bible. It's just you have to decipher the terminology that was used by the prophets, because the terminology that they used was different. Okay, they were explaining it the best way they can, or the best way they could, back then with the terminology that they had. So, for example, an ICBM missile, when you decipher it in the scriptures, it's called an arrow, right? It's called an arrow. It's called a sword, right? That's what they call it. That's what the prophets call it. Right, so, like I said, they were using the terminology of their time. You just have to understand what you're reading. And a lot of people don't understand what they're reading, and it shows. You have a lot of Christians out there reading the Bible every single day, but they're not talking about these things. You have some that are. You do have some. But a majority of people, like the average person that goes to church, they don't know what the hell they're reading. And they think the world is good. The world isn't good right now. So it says here, Nuke watch, Putin's warmongering general calls for retaliation on Ukraine after electrics factory erupts and bright blue fireball. It's posted August 31st, 2023. I'll read it real quick. I'm going to probably read up to here, and that's it. And like I always say, I'm going to post a link in the description to the article so you can read it for yourselves. So this is former Russian General Andrei Gurlev has suggested President Vladimir Putin use tactical nuclear weapons as retaliation against Ukraine's relentless drone strikes in Russia. And those drone strikes were for lack of better words, effing them up. They're getting jacked up by those drone strikes. Hey, those drone strikes are no joke, man. So it says knews.com has learned that the former general said now is the perfect opportunity for a nuclear strike, while the Ukrainian forces are all bunched up in the Ukrainian village of Robotin. His statement followed a suggestion by Russian TV propagandist Vladimir Solov, who mentioned the village was the perfect spot to use tactical nuclear weapons. Robotin was recaptured by Ukrainian troops after an 11-week period of intense fighting. And that's the former general. That's him. Speaking to the TV personality, former General Gurlev stated that following the nuclear strike in Robotin, Russian forces could mobilize and free the Zaporizhia and Dnipro regions, and then encircle and destroy Ukrainians in the Donetsk region. Solovin chimed in, most importantly, it saves so many lives of our fighters and solves all problems. I don't know about that. Because if you go nuclear, the other powers that be in the world, the other nations, they'll get involved too. If you were to go nuclear, it could cause a lot of problems. America can get involved, right? And that could spark off World War III. I don't know if it's going to save lives. I don't know about that. right? So this has World War III potential written all over it. Okay, so you gotta watch this. So it says, as reported by The Sun. As for the collateral damage of Russians getting caught in the aftermath of the nuclear strike, like radioactive contamination and large-scale destruction, Sokolov seems to have thought of a solution already. Sokolov suggested that the nuclear weapons will be used to simply cause an air nuclear explosion with a crystal-clear affected zone. He further added that Russia has knowledgeable scientists that will help Russians avoid the nuclear fallout. And how'd you get those scientists, man? Knowledgeable scientists. It reminds me of after World War II, you had a project called Project Paperclip. It was the major powers after World War II. They were scrambling to get a hold of the Nazi scientists, and those Nazi scientists, they were the ones that helped create nuclear weapons. They're the ones that made NASA so successful, and other things that they have created, right? But that's why they're so knowledgeable, because they have some of those scientists, or they had those scientists, and those scientists were working with them, right? Now let me get a precept. This is Isaiah chapter 54, verse 16. And it says here, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. That's right. And that smith, that's our old English word that means a blacksmith, right? A weapons maker, right? And that's the modern day scientists. They're able to split the atom. They have the technology. They have the wisdom which the Lord gave them to make nuclear weapons. Splitting the atom, making a warhead, putting it in a missile. And if you were to go on Google and type up what is inside a missile, you see it's very detailed. It is actual rocket science. It's very meticulous. For lack of better words, I'm going to use that word. It's very meticulous. It's very detailed and complicated when it comes to making it work, right? Going into the atmosphere, hitting a certain trajectory, so it's very meticulous, right? The Lord has given the knowledge to create that weapon. It's a very serious weapon, man. And also, you had that movie that came out recently called Oppenheimer, right? I believe those were the same scientists that were a part of the Manhattan Project. The physicists and scientists, I believe, right? That goes into the history behind nuclear weapons, right? So, behold, I've created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. And that's what it's created to do, right? It's created for destruction, and it's going to waste a lot of people, right? So I don't technically agree with this guy. What did you just say about his troops? Most importantly, it saves so many lives of our fighters. I don't know, because once you go nuclear, everybody's going to get involved, and now you're going to have to bring up more soldiers to fight. So I don't know if it's going to save lives. I think it's gonna further escalate the problem. Like I said, this has World War III potential written all over it. Right, World War III nuclear destruction potential. So that's serious. I don't know about that, but like the article says, he's a warmonger. But then again, I just have to say this: I'm not there. I'm not in the midst of battle. I'm not there, so I can't really speak on this. But I can speak on the scriptures. And World War III is going to happen. World War III is going to happen. Nuclear destruction is going to happen, whether you believe it or not. We're in that time. All right, so the next one is from thesun.com, and it says, Nuke alert, Putin puts 16,000 mile per hour doomsday nuke, dubbed Satan-2. God damn, so you know what spirit he's coming in. Satan-2, god damn. Satan-2, that's the name of the missile. Satan-2, Shaitan, the adversary that can sink UK in one strike on combat duty for the first time. Let me see, did I finish this? Let me go back here. Did I finish this? No. Yeah, never mind. That's all I want. The point. But yeah, that's serious. So I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to get some precepts. Now, actually, before I play that, I just want to say, you know, the world, because just from reading this title and reading the statements that was said by the former Russian general, you know, World War III and this world coming to an end should have came already. This world should have been destroyed 10 times over. But the reason why the nukes haven't went off yet is because the Lord is holding back the four winds. Right. So certain prophecies have to be fulfilled before this place is destroyed. You see, a lot of these leaders, man, they want to destroy this place. But the Lord is working on their minds to not do that, because the elect has to be sealed. So let me get a precept. This is Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And that winds is talking about the destroying winds. Okay, the destroying winds. Destroying winds come from the nuclear missiles. Because when they hit, a destroying wind comes with it, plus fire and radiation, and that destroys everything in its path. Verse 2, and I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Right, to hurt the earth and the sea. Right, so there are angels in charge, okay, of holding back the four winds, and they're in charge of letting loose the destruction, so destruction can happen. Right. Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. And to get a better idea of that, you can go into Ezekiel the 9th chapter. Preferably Ezekiel 9 and 4. Okay, the 4th verse in Ezekiel chapter 9, and goes into the sealing, which the sealing is the thawa, and that's the mark of exemption. Right, so certain individuals are exempt from destruction. Okay, so those servants have to be sealed. So when everybody is sealed, then that's when destruction's gonna happen. So we're not seeing that right now, right? So, hey, this guy, he wanted to use nuclear weapons, man. But the Lord said, no, not yet. Not yet, right? If it was up to him, if he was in charge, it would have been, it would have went nuclear already. But the Lord doesn't have him in charge. So, anyways, it says here, that's enough. That's all I want. So let's go back here. I'm going to play the video now.
Вообще на Британских островах, похоже, заговариваются. Зачем грозить ядерным оружием бескрайней России, сидя на, в общем-то, маленьком острове? Остров столь мал, что лишь одной ракеты «Сармат» достаточно, чтобы его утопить раз и навсегда. Российской ракете «Сармат», самой мощной в мире.
Новое смертельное гиперзвуковое оружие способно уничтожить территорию размером с Техас или Англию.
Это всего лишь один пуск, Борис. А Англии нет. Раз и навсегда. Зачем заигрываться?
by the way, in code, okay, because when the prophets, they got the dreams and the visions of the destruction and the nuclear weapons, they called it the iron weapon, the iron bow. They called it arrows, right? That's what they called it. So that's what you're seeing here. It looks like an arrow. It looks like a big arrow with a rocket on it. With a rocket on it. So that's what they're saying. So in code, that's what it is. Okay, arrow, iron weapon, the bow, right? That's what it's talking about. Nuclear weapons, right? So that's what you're seeing. Well, so there you have it. Okay, I don't want to bring that up. Hopefully it doesn't play. Let me just mute the site here. Let me just mute it. Yeah, so I'm not going to read the article. And like I said, I'll post a link in the description. So the video pretty much is pretty much the article, right? But yeah, that's what they have. That's in their arsenal. The Satan-2. So let's go into Ezekiel chapter 38, going into prophecy about Gog, Magog, which is Russia. And it says here, Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 1, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him. It's talking about Russia. And say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company, with bucklers and shield, all of them handling swords. Wow. Okay. And putting hooks in their jaws is riling them back up, like how they once were back in the Soviet era, right? In the 90s, going all the way back, right? They were very strong. They were an empire. They were a communist empire. They were very powerful, very strong, and they were a force to be reckoned with. Right, but when the Soviet Union fell, they lost power. Right, you can go into certain terms. You can look at perestroika, glasnost. Look at those terms. Just look up those terms, and you will understand why they fell back in the 90s. Right, you understand why. I'm not going to go into that. You can look that up yourselves. You know, that's just some secular history you can look into. Those were, I believe, political and economic reforms that was trying to really make Russia stronger, but it really didn't work. It kind of messed them up, right? But yeah, the hooks in thy jaws is really riling them back up into that old Soviet communist spirit, them being an empire. And remember, during the fall of the Soviet Union, they lost a lot of states, especially the Baltic states like Estonia, Lithuania. There's a couple others I forgot, but the Baltic states, they lost those states. So they're not as powerful as they once were. But now the Lord is riling them back up. And you're seeing that with Putin and his generals and what they're doing today. And the weaponry that they have. And how there's so much tension between them and the United States. Well, really the Western world. And that's why, as of late, what are you seeing? You're seeing these different African countries and different European countries getting involved with the BRICS. And who's in charge of that? Russia. And that's for the de-dollarization. That's what it's going into. De-dollarization, getting rid of the American dollar, right? So they're in that spirit to destroy the United States and Israel, because that's what it's going to lead to, right? And a lot of these other nations, they're joining up with Russia. They're their allies. So let's go here. I'll read it again. It says here, "And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." That's right, and they are well furnished with arms and ammunition, right? And they understand artillery. They have artillery. Hey, artillery is very dangerous. Okay, artillery is very, very dangerous. And those are the type of weapons they have in their arsenal. You know, that's what you're really supposed to use first when you're fighting a battle. You know, they come in with artillery. Now, the effects of artillery, it falls into, I believe, 2 categories, and it's to suppress or, I believe, neutralize the enemy, and it's to cause casualties, damage, and destruction. Okay, those are its uses. And then after those things happen, that's when you send in the infantry. That's when you send in the foot soldiers. Then they start picking you off, man. All right. So they know what they're doing. They have a lot of things in their arsenal. They have a big army. They're serious, man. And by the way, war is very disgusting, man. It's not nice. War is not fucking nice. All right. War is not fucking nice. Right? So, but that's what the Lord has in store for the world. War. Okay. Now there's a time and place for everything. We're headed into war times. It's Ecclesiastes chapter, I believe it's 3. 3 and let's see here. Yeah. A time for everything. There's a time for everything, man. A lot of you people don't know what time it is. You don't know what time it is. A lot of you people think you're in the time of mirth. You're really not in the time of mirth. You're in the time of woes, destruction. You're in the time of war. It's a time to kill. It's a time to weep. It's not a time to laugh. It's a time to mourn. And it definitely is not a time to dance. But you Israelites, you have it all backwards in the way that you're thinking. You think it's a good time. It's not. Okay? So it says here, a time for everything, Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, to everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die. That's right. And a lot of people are going to die. Right? A lot of people are. That's just the reality of it. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. So, when I spoke of the effects of artillery and how it's used, on how it falls into 2 categories, guess what? It's set up to kill. It's set up to break down, right? It's set up to make you weep. It's set up to make you mourn and not to feel good. Okay? So, verse 4, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. Right? I'm gonna just read up to verse 8. A time to get, a time to lose. Yeah, I'm gonna lose, man. We're in the end, and this is the end of Esau's world. 2nd Ezra chapter 6 verse 9 says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows." So we're at the end of the world. That means, Esau, you're going to lose your world, and you're going to lose it all. But right now, we're in the time of these nations losing. And guess what? We're in the time of you Israelites getting the victory. You're headed in the time to win. Because we're gonna win. The lowly and the meek are going to win. Right? The meek and the lowly shall inherit the earth. Which really just means the elect. The ones that are of a contrite heart, and the ones that are sacrificing their bodies. Right? So it says a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, and lastly, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. And we're definitely not in the time of peace, and we're definitely not in the time of love. Right? Didn't the Lord tell you that the love of many shall wax cold in these last days? We're not in the time of love. You get that, wax cold. Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. Let me see, where's the red letter? This is what our Lord said. So I'll start at verse 11. Matthew 24 and 11. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And this is what's going to happen in the last days, all right? He's talking about the last days, our Lord and Savior. Verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, right? That's us being in the condition without having the law, being very sinful. Nobody cares about the laws. Nobody understands that they're really supposed to be following the law. So guess what? That's iniquity. A lot of people, a majority of the people in the world, they're wicked. They're not trying to follow the law, statute, and commandment. They're going off of their own laws, their own way of thinking. Right? And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And that's the last days. The love of many shall wax cold. There's no love. So we're not in the time of love. We're not. We really aren't. Okay? You may love your family members, but the world in general, as a whole, collectively, there's no love in the world, man. There's no love in the world. It's not. There's not a lot of love. Not a lot. So yeah, that's what I want to bring out. A time to keep. No, it says a time of war and a time of peace. So that's where I left off. That's all I want. But yeah, man, the love of many shall wax cold. We're not in a time of peace. We're not in a time of love. We're in a time of war, and we're in a time of hate. This is hate. Okay. This is hate. 16,000 mile per hour doomsday nuke. That's hate. And it's also named Satan-2. That's hate. What does Satan mean? Adversary. Your adversary hates you. So that's hate. And you have this man right here, warmongering general. That's not love. That doesn't sound like peace. That's war and that's hate. So you can't tell me we're in a time of peace and we're in a time of love. If you really think that, you're deluded. You're deluded. Very deluded, man. Strong delusions, man. So yeah, that's all I want from here as well. Now let's get some nuclear missile scriptures. So this is Revelation chapter 9, verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. That's right, the first woe already passed. That's World War I. Right? Yeah, he went through that war, going into Kaiser Wilhelm and those guys, right? The king going into the Nazi Empire, the Weimar Republic, all that stuff is past, man. And behold, there come two woes, right? So World War II came and it left, and then we have one more woe left, right? We're in the midst of the third woe. Right? We're in the midst of the third woe. And what did Albert Einstein say about the third woe? Let me close this, bring this up. He said, I don't know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones, which he's letting you know nothing will be left after World War III. Everything will be destroyed. Everything will be destroyed. And he's telling you it will probably go into a stone age, which there was no such thing as a stone age when you filter it through the scriptures. There's no such thing as a stone age. But for a lack of better words, that's what I'm going to call it. Right? World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. That will bring you to the Stone Age. Right? So he's telling you everything will pretty much be destroyed. Right? So we're in the midst of the third woe. Now it says, verse 13, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying, the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Right, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day, and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Right, and the third part of man represents what's it called? It represents Esau, the beast, and NATO and the EU. Right, and they're going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. These are different nations. They're going to shoot nukes on the beast, NATO and the EU. All right. So the Lord, he's gonna allow these angels to let loose the destruction. Those are the same four angels that were spoken of in Revelation, the 7th chapter. Right? They're gonna finally be let loose, and at this point, the elect is sealed. Okay, the elect is sealed. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. Yeah, all these missiles. Right. All right. And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinths and brimstones. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire, and smoke, and brimstone. Okay, it's talking about the general makeup of the ICBM, or hypersonic missile. Right, you have the rocket at the bottom that propels the missile. Then you have the actual casing of the missile that carries the warhead. And then at the tip of the missile, that's where the warhead is. And when it hits its trajectory, that's when the warhead is let loose. And then it hits its target. Right? By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths, for their power is in their mouth. So like I said, at the tip of the missile, at the very end, at the top of it, that's the mouth. That's where the power is, because that's where the warhead is. And in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Okay, so yeah, nuclear destruction. So here we go, Malachi chapter 4 verse 1, for behold the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. It's not talking about, your oven that you have in your home, convectional oven that goes up to 500 degrees. It's talking about a nuclear oven, 1,000,000 degree heat. And this is a type of heat that mankind has never experienced before. Right? Different levels of fire, because fire comes with radiation. Sometimes you don't even feel that. Right? And that's all fire, man. Radiation is just a different form of fire. Right? It's very dangerous. Very dangerous, man. Very, very dangerous. Right? So once you go nuclear, that's it. That's it, man. And all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly, starting with Esau, Edom, and the 2/3, and you other nations, you're the proud. And all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up. That's right. So the Lord wants to burn you up. And that day is going to come. It's going to come in due time. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it. Okay, it seems like it will never come, but it's coming. And it's going to come right on time, because that's the Lord's time. Okay. Prophecy is dictated by time, and a day to the Lord is 1,000 years, and it seems like it will never happen, but it will happen. But it's on God's time. And a lot of you people, you don't really believe that, and that's why you lose faith. That's why you don't believe in the Bible. Okay, what is going to happen? That it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Everything will be destroyed. including your posterity, your children, the monuments that you've built up. Everything that you've accomplished will be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. All right, so here we go. Next one. That's a nice precept. So this is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. That's right, when you least expect. Right, just like these movies. Those are good to talk about. Like Terminator 2 with Sarah Connor. When she had the dream, she had the vision, right? Destruction was on a very nice day, and nobody saw it coming. It was a sunny day. The mothers were taking their kids to the park, pushing strollers and having fun and bonding with the kids, and boom, that's when judgment came, and then she just melted, man. Everything started to melt. Everything got destroyed. That destroying wind came, changed their whole world. Boom. And that's how the Lord is going to get you. You see how terrible the Lord is? It's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the Lord. And you will fear, man. You will fear. And he will think of something. You got a lot of strong people out here, man. You got a lot of people that been in battle. They had bombs drop on them. You had people get shot at. You had people getting tortured. But the Lord can think of something new to make you afraid and to make you bitch up. Right? In the day of destruction. You think you're tougher than the Lord? You think you're more mentally strong than Yahweh Shem Yoshai? Well, he can break you. And a lot of you men, and a lot of you women too, you're going to be broken in that day. Broken. Right? You're going to be broken down. So it says, noise and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Amen. So it says the elements. And everything that we interact with on this earth is composed of elements that you see on the periodic timetable chart. And when you go into chemistry, that's all elements, including yourself. You have elements that are in you, right? So all, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. That includes the people, you, your dog, your cat, your loved ones that don't believe. And I'm not laughing because I'm just saying, man, a lot of people love their family. But hey, guess what? Your family ain't going to make it if they ain't right. They ain't going to make it. They ain't going to make it, man. All right. So, yeah. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. What manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? And you should be speaking about the scriptures. You should be meditating upon the Lord's precept if you know that the end is coming. If you really believe in the Lord and this word, you're going to come to the conclusion that this place is going to be destroyed and the Lord is going to bring forth destruction on this place. And he's only going to save a select few of individuals. So if you know that, what should you be doing? You should be trying to get right with the Lord. Right? And following the example that Yahushai left you. Verse 12, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we according to his promise, that's right, because the Lord did promise, he made us a promise. And what is that? The fulfillment of the second covenant, us being perfect, us being in the kingdom of heaven, us getting a new earth. Scripture says, for in my Father's house are many mansions. You know what that entails? It entails luxury. Living to your heart's content in righteousness. That's what we're going to get. Now it says here, nevertheless, we according to his promise look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Okay. And after nuclear destruction, we're going to get a new heaven and new earth. Right? After 1,000 years. Anyways, man. What else do I have? What else do I have here? Yeah, that's all I got, man. That's all I got. I don't need to bring anything else out. See my time here. I'm 40 minutes in. Alright, so with that, hope this was edifying. Just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, Bahashem Rakah HaKodash, and the belongings to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone of GMS. Do you guys say Shalom and Shalom to the whole collect? Kwam Yashala and Baba Ball. Shalom.